Good morning, students. So, this is your fifth class of the subject refrigeration and air conditioning. In the last four classes, we have discussed about the introductory part of air conditioning and ventilation. What is the different properties of moist air, how the thermodynamic state of a moist air is defined, what is the instrument that is used for measuring different properties like dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature, that is psychrometer. And using the psychrometer, as per the variation of the season, how can we treat the atmospheric air? That means how can we go for different type of processes like heating, cooling, humidification or dehumidification. So regarding all these processes, we have already discussed about sensible heating and sensible cooling and humidification, dehumidification. So now today class we will discuss about a process that is cooling and dehumidification. So from the very first name of the process, that is cooling and dehumidification, cooling with dehumidification of air. So the process dehumidification means the removal of moisture from the air. Now if we remove some moisture from the air, what will happen? Since the air is a mixture of dry air, the moist air is a mixture of dry air and water vapor. So by removal of moisture from the air, we will reduce the amount of moisture content or water vapor content present in the air. As a result, the specific humidity or humidity ratio will decrease. Okay. Now this dehumidification of air is possible when or if the air that is coming, or the atmospheric gas that is coming into a duct or into a system, can be cooled below the dew point temperature of the air. If the air is to be cooled below the dew point temperature of the incoming air, then the dehumidification process can be achieved. Now, for effective dehumidification, it is necessary to maintain the coil surface. That means if we use a dehumidifier coil for removal of the moisture from the air, then the coil surface temperature must be less than or must be below the dew point temperature of the air for effective dehumidification. So how can we achieve both cooling as well as dehumidification? So first thing, for cooling, that means we have to use one coil that is to be maintained at a temperature lower than the temperature of the incoming air. And at the same time, we have to achieve dehumidification. That means we have to again use one coil, that is, or one instrument or one attachment that is called dehumidifier for removal of the water vapor present in the air. So if the two processes can be achieved at a time, that is cooling and dehumidification, or dehumidification along with cooling, if the air is made to pass over a surface, it may be a cooling surface or it may be a surface of continuous pure water that is at a temperature, that means that cooling surface is at a temperature less than the dew point temperature of the air, then what will happen? The condensation of some amount of water vapor present in the air will take place along with sensible cooling. Now here the condition is the coil is to be maintained at a temperature less than the dew point temperature of the air. Now what is dew point temperature? In the first class we have discussed about what is dew point temperature. What is that? Now dew point temperature is the temperature of the air to which air must be cooled at constant pressure in order to cause condensation of the water vapor present in the air. That means since the moist air contains some amount of dry air, some amount of water vapor, so when the water vapor present in the moist air try to condense or begins to condense, that particular temperature is called dew point temperature. Okay, so if the temperature of the surface, that is the cooling coil or spray of water, is having less than the temperature of the or dew point temperature of the incoming air, then what will happen? Since coil surface is maintained at lower than the dew point, so condensation of the water or whatever may be the thing present within that cooling coil, that will be condensed. That means if within the cooling coil some amount of liquid is there, so or some amount of water is there, so the water vapor present in that air will try to condense. Now when it will try to condense, that means when the water vapor present in the air will try to condense, the temperature of the air will also decrease. As a result, we will achieve the cooling process as well as condensation or dehumidification process. Now in a broader sense, we can also say that, more precise way, we can say that, suppose you have used on duct over here through which the air is entering with a dry bulb temperature TdB1. Now we have used one cooling coil over here which is maintained at temperature T2, and such that the temperature T2, there is a coil surface temperature, is less than the dew point temperature of the inlet air, that is the air that is coming. And after this cooling and dehumidification process, the air that will be coming out with the temperature TdB3. So here we have used 4 temperature. One is dry bulb temperature of the entering air, TdB1 or T1, dry bulb temperature of the leaving air, TdB3 or T3, coil surface temperature, and dew point temperature of the entering air. So how can we look at this process in the psychrometry chart? See, in the psychrometry chart, first we have to locate the inlet air condition, that is 1, having a particular dry bulb temperature and particular dew point temperature. See, this one is the dew point temperature. Now, in the psychrometry chart, we have already mentioned that dry bulb temperature lines are vertical, this vertical line, and dew point temperature scale are drawn along this vertical axis, that means on which this specific humidity scale are drawn. In one side, specific humidity scales are drawn, in the another side, dew point temperature scales are drawn. So this horizontal line represents the dew point temperature of the air. Okay. Now, coil surface temperature is T2. So suppose this one is coil surface temperature. So when this air which is having a temperature TdB1 will try to pass over this cooling surface, then since the coil surface is maintained at a temperature less than the dew point temperature, that see, this T4 is less than T2. Sorry, this T2 is less than T4. Coil surface T2 is less than T4. So since T2 is less than T4, so since this one is a cooling coil, so this cooling coil will try to condense the amount of water vapor present in this air. So the water vapor present in the oil is condensed. At the same time, the heat exchange will take place between this cooling coil and this air that is coming from the outside. So due to this heat exchange, sensible cooling process will occur, and the air coming out of the coil will have a temperature that is TdB3, which is greater than the coil surface temperature. Okay. Now, so the air that will come into sufficient contact or proper contact with the coil surface will be reduced in temperature. That means the temperature of the air that will come into the perfect contact with this cooling surface will be reduced in temperature. Now, up to what extent it can reduce? It can reduce the temperature up to the mean coil surface temperature. That means this T3 can be extended up to T2 in ideal case. That is why the process can be shown by a line 1, 4, 2, where this 1 to 4 denotes condensation, that is removal of moisture, and condensation or cooling process, and 4 to 2 denotes dehumidification or removal of moisture. So the resultant of this 1, 4, 2 can be denoted as by the line 1, 3, 1, 3, 2 or 1, 3, which denotes cooling as well as dehumidification. See, this one is dehumidification, this one is cooling. So first dehumidification occurs, then cooling occurs. So along with condensation of water vapor, cooling also occurs. Now, if we consider the ideal condition, what will happen? In ideal condition, that means if the coil is 100% efficient coil, then the condition of the air that will come out of the coil will be at 0.2. So T3 will be equal to T2. But no such cooling coil is available which is 100% efficient. That is why the condition of the air coming out of the coil will be maintained at a temperature which is certain degree greater than the temperature of the coil surface, which is represented by the point 3. So here the bypass factor of the coil can be defined as, so what is the actual ideal process? The exit condition, what is the exit condition? 3. Inlet condition 1. Coil surface T2. So T2 minus T3 or H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H1, that will denote the bypass factor, or H3 minus H2 by H1 minus H2. That means this length 2 3 divided by this length 2 to 1, that will denote bypass factor, this one by this one. Or if we can find out what is the slope, calculate the slope, and from which we can calculate also the bypass factor of the coil. So from this calculation, one thing is clear, that the dehumidification is possible only when the surface temperature of the coil is less than the dew point temperature of the inlet air. That means this surface temperature T2 must be less than this TDP1 or T4. See, this one is T4, T4 is greater than T2, or T2 is less than T4. That is why this effective surface temperature is known as apparatus dew point, which is denoted by this point ADP, apparatus dew point. That is the effective surface temperature of the coil. So previously we have denoted that bypass factor equal to T3 minus T2 by T1 minus T2. So if T2 is equal to TADP, that is the apparatus dew point, then bypass factor will be denoted as TDP3 minus ADP by T1 minus ADP. So what will be the, if you are asked to find out what will be the total amount of heat removed, since it is a cooling process, so total amount of heat removed equal to, process is 1 to 3, so H1 minus H3. Now this H1 minus H3, since both the process, both cooling as well as dehumidification is achieved, so H1 minus H3 can be represented as, see, H1 minus H3, so that will be H1 minus HA, that is dehumidification, HA minus H3, that is cooling. If we look at this point, H3, HA, H1, so this is H1, this is your HA, H3. So we have to go from 1 to 3, so for 1 to A, then A to 3. Where H1 minus HA is known as latent heat, the amount of latent heat removed, and HA minus H3 represents amount of sensible heat removed. And this ratio, that is amount of sensible heat removed to total heat, this latent heat plus sensible heat is total heat. So the amount of sensible heat, the amount of total heat, that is known as sensible heat factor, sensible heat by total heat, which is equal to HA minus H3 by H1 minus H3. That will also denotes the slope of the curve. So if the inlet condition of the air is known, that is the air that is coming into the duct or into the system, if the inlet condition is known, and if the sensible heat ratio or sensible heat factor is known, then the process line, that is the process line 1 to 3, or the sensible cooling and dehumidification line can be drawn through the given initial condition by using the slope of the curve, that is nothing but the sensible heat factor. From this, the capacity of the cooling coil can be also written. This one is the total heat, the total amount of heat into mass flow rate of air divided by 3.5, where 1 ton equal to 3.5 kilowatt. And by this equation we can also find out what is the amount of latent heat, that is mass flow rate into change in enthalpy. So here the latent heat amount is H1 minus HA. Now during this latent heat absorption or latent heat removal, since phase change takes place, so this will be HFG into delta W, that is the change in specific humidity, equal to rho A into VA into HFG delta W. So by using these two formula, we can find out what is the capacity of cooling coil, what is the amount of latent heat, and what is the amount of total heat. So one thing you have to remember, that if the initial condition is known, sensible heat factor is known, then the process line can be easily drawn, because this sensible heat factor is nothing but the slope of the curve. Okay, so by this way we can explain this cooling and dehumidification process. Thank you.